Shalom, everybody, and welcome back to Insights of the Parsha of the Week, beginning this new year, Parashat Bereishit, the beginning. As everyone knows, this Parsha is too deep. There's so much in the Zohar, so much in the Tikkun Zohar, so much in the Midrash, so much in the Gemara, on the deep secrets and mysteries of the details of this week's Parsha. We'll do our best to at least cover something, B'ezrat Hashem. So, the Parsha outlines the beginning of creation, right? The 7 days and the creation of mankind. And we get the impression that the Torah is beginning to teach us the mission of mankind. Hashem created man for the sake of the Torah, for Am Yisrael, his offspring, B'ezrat Hashem, that will keep the Torah in order to perpetuate and make known Hashem's name and presence in the world. That's basically all of creation, okay? So the Torah starts off where Hashem created so masterfully perfect, if you want to say, the parts of creation, the trees, the birds, the animals, the flies, the sun, the moon, everything, and mankind also, okay? And then the Parsha begins to digress in the challenges and the blemishes due to the challenges, mainly through the snake, the primordial snake, enticing Chava and then Adam, and leading to the subsequent exile of Adam and Chava from the Garden of Eden, Gan Eden, to the east. The Torah says there that Hashem placed Kruvim, which are a type of angels of destruction, and also an item called the Lahat HaCherev HaMit'hapechet, like the shining of a sword, a revolving sword, mitapechet. It's understood as being revolving, but mitapechet means to switch, just to change, okay? And this again is after the enticement of the snake. Let's take a look at the enticement of the snake and this revolving sword. What's common in both of them, and what the Torah is teaching us as the main challenge of life. When we see how the snake succeeded in enticing Chava and then Adam, it was through distortion. What did she say? She said, we're not allowed to eat and not allowed to touch from the tree. And the snake pushed, like Rashi says, the snake pushed her hand to the tree, and he said to her, you see, it didn't die. And just as you won't die touching the tree, you won't die eating the tree. And you want to know why Hashem told you not to eat from the tree? Because you will become creators of worlds like him, and you're able to know between the good and the evil. And she was convinced that this is something amazing, to know that which is beyond their knowledge, and that's how she fell into the trap. But the cunningness of the snake is what sticks out here, is that he was able to play games with her, to trick her. Rashi says, no, he didn't mean this, he really didn't mean that. Fooling a person. From the beginning of the Torah, from the beginning of the creation, we're shown that the biggest tests of life come from altering the truth with falsehood. He didn't really mean this, he meant that. And she also, Adam added to the command, don't touch the tree either. That's what she said. Don't touch and don't eat or else we'll die. But the truth is, Hashem said only not to eat from the tree. You can touch it, but he did a precaution. But he was supposed to have said that it was a precaution, that this is not the initial mitzvah. So the whole Torah, the blemish of creation, is due through misunderstanding and also fooling and trickery and cunning. Fooling a person. That's how the evil was able to get into mankind and to bring them down. So this thing of fooling people in order to sin is Rav Nosson, Rabbi Nachman, they go into this concept. It's called the chamber of exchanges, the Hechala Tumurot. The chamber of exchanges, it's a chamber where everything's exchanged. Good for evil, light for darkness, pure for impure. Everything is swapped and switched. And it's rooted in, Rav Nosson writes, it's rooted from the beginning of creation. Let's skip a little. When now Adam was punished, he was exiled, kicked out of the garden. And like we said, Hashem placed this sword, this revolving sword. The question is, it's not enough to just place the angels of destruction, the malachim, the kruvim, that the verse says. By the way, this is chapter 3, the last verse 24 of chapter 3. Mentions this whole thing of Adam being exiled, and that Hashem placed the kruvim and the Lahat HaCherev HaMit'hapechet, the shining of the blade of the sword, which was revolving, in order to protect the way to leading to the tree of life, that they shouldn't have access. So this type of sword, revolving sword, was placed there. So the question is that there's angels of destruction, I understand. That there's a sword, I understand. But why are they revolving? What does it help us? What does it add, this feature that the sword was revolving? It's enough already say that there were angels of destruction and a sword. That's like all guards are. When you have guards, they're holding a sword, and that's that. It's enough. But here we're taught there was a revolving sword. Why the revolving sword? Rav Nosson says that the whole root of the chamber of exchange is to fool mankind, to fool people, to have the ability to swap, comes from this revolving sword. This is the key. The key now, once man has sinned, the main test we go through to try to reconnect to the tree of life, which is what's meant in the Parsha, and what's the goal of all creation. The goal of all creation is when Mashiach comes and we're brought back to the third temple, resurrection of the dead, is then we shall taste of the tree of life and live forever, Bezrat Hashem. That's our goal, to come to that bliss that Hashem wanted us initially to come to. But what's stopping that is the revolving sword. Revolving sword, Rav Nosson explains, is the idea of the evil to have the ability, the faculty, and the ability to fool people. That's how we are stuck. We are stuck in life because many people have major misconceptions. You take a look at the world, you see how people think, it's absolutely crazy. When you see how people talk and what they say and what they believe in and what they write and what they do, you see that people are absolutely nuts. It doesn't make sense. Even basic normality, if you want to call what's called normal humanity and humanitarian normal laws of what's considered to be normal, that has been distorted. There's no more normality. You can't talk to people. A tree is the dog. You can't. I can't talk to you. We have no common ground on basics of ideology. They can't even start a conversation and to talk with them. 2 + 2 is all of a sudden it's 5. It's not 4 anymore. People lose it. I don't want to mention these movements, the woke movement, whatever, just so distorting a basis. There's nothing to stand on to even talk to other people. All this is rooted from the chamber of exchanges, where people are able to swap and to accept falsehood as being truth, and truth as being falsehood. Light as being darkness, and darkness as being light. It's like sorry to say, but from the eyes of an observant Jew who learns Torah, he sees how people who are secular or not religious, or even the Gentiles, how they talk and how they act, they laugh because they see it's absolute stupidity and absurdity. The Torah gives a person eyes to see clear. And when you begin to see clear, you begin to crack up and see how the world is so upside down. They're so upside down. It's a shame, and it's a waste that people, if they were to learn Torah, they would see clearly, but they're making such stupid decisions because of a lack of clarity, of rightness, of what's right, due to learning the Torah. And that's what's missing. So going back, the Torah introduces us the test of life. The test of life is this Lahat HaCherev HaMit'hapechet. The sword is revolving. The actual wording, like we said earlier, is mitapech, which means to change. Lahafoch, mitapech. The sword is changing, meaning what? The test of the sword is that people are swapped. In other words, people are misled with misconceptions, and they're easily fooled by them. This is the sword that was placed on the pathway leading to the tree of life, meaning that in order for a person to come to access the tree of life, he's going to have to go through this test of the exchanges, the chamber of exchanges, rooted in this sword. And if now a person knows he's being fooled, he has a chance to make it. Rabbi Nachman teaches this point. When you know that you're being faced a challenge that you can't figure out, and already at the onset you accept that you can't understand it, and therefore you go into emunah mode, and not into intellectual mode to try to grasp and understand, you can pass the test. But if a person now sees something that contradicts his understanding, and it's swapping and switching the ideas, making the darkness to light, light to darkness, right to wrong, wrong to right, purity to impurity, impurity to purity, and he gets tangled into it, so he loses the test. He gets swallowed up and chopped up by the Lahat HaCherev HaMit'hapechet. They say in the Zohar that the tree of life are the deep secrets of the Torah. Someone wants to come to the inner meaning of the Torah, which means that the Torah opens up to a person and it begins to see godly interpretation in everything. Just by the way, in Rabbi Nachman's wisdom, the book Sichot Haram, you have some paragraphs there where Rav Nosson is expressing the greatness of Rabbi Nachman, is that he was able to see through the Torah the whole world opened up before him. He said in one conversation that Rabbi Nachman said, I have so much to give over to other people, and I want to give over to other people. The problem is, when someone comes to me and starts talking to me, I'm so excited about what he's revealing to me by his this simple talk to me, so I forget about the giving mode, and I'm more interested in receiving because I'm receiving such new insights from the person. And at that point, Rav Nosson writes, because in front of Rabbi Nachman's eyes, the whole world was opened up to him. He was able to see the deep secrets behind everything, daily conversations, news, mundane situations. He was able to reveal the deep interpretation. This is what's called the tree of life, that the Torah should open its light up to a person. So you see life, chayim, how everything in life is just full of bursting of energy, of godliness to reconnect to Hashem. Okay, to come to that now, you have to pass the test of the revolving sword, or the sword that changes. Meaning that the only way for a person to make it through is he has to go to the challenge of the chamber of exchanges, and the way to hold on and not to submit and not to bend before these challenges is by, on the onset, again, recognizing that I cannot figure this out. I have to go in an attitude of just plain, simple emunah and just plain, simple joy in Hashem. With that, a person can pass through. So the Torah already from the beginning tells us this is the test in the Parsha, and this is the test of life. All the downfalls of people is because they were fooled. Take a look also by the golden calf. The Jews made a mistake in miscalculation. They made a miscalculation by one day, and the Tzara took advantage. He made an image of Moshe Rabbeinu's coffin floating in the air, so the Jews should believe Moshe is dead. We're finished. We're doomed. We have no more leader to help us. Let's now go make an idol. Let's go back to Egypt. That's the golden calf. It was all from just a misinterpretation. The reality is nothing actually happened. It's called in Rabbi Nachman's terminology the koach hamedameh, the faculty of distorted imagination, which takes advantage of the chamber of exchanges, which is the idea of the revolving sword, to get a person to fall. So fortunate is the person who doesn't fall into the test. Rabbi Nachman teaches, in order for a person to have this emunah, not to fall to the test of the chamber of exchanges, the revolving sword, a person has to be super duper strong in simple, joyous, and a joyous attitude. To have simcha in his life, have a simcha in believing in and knowing the greatness of how Hashem values himself in Hashem's eyes. And with that, a person can be strong to face any of these tests. Again, it's easier said than done, but the more you believe in this, the more you dive into Hashem about this, the more you make effort to come to this, the more you stand a chance to pass the test of the chamber of exchanges, of the revolving sword, the sword that changes, mit'hapechet, and thus eventually come to your own personal tree of life. Shabbat Shalom, and may this year prove a year where we as a nation can stand up to all the tests, and also on an individual level, pass all the tests of the revolving sword, and come to our own tree of life. Shabbat Shalom.